Hello world, welcome to the stream. We're back, and we left off last time. Hey Fedora boy, how's it going? We left off last time. I had a bunch of to-dos. We were parsing our level configuration file, and I stubbed out a bunch of stuff. And ended up getting through most of that in an off-stream coding session. I'm doing well. However, there is one to do that I did not get to quite yet, and that is the generator for placement of monsters within a level. So let's see if I can quickly get to where we were. So we did the parsing of the monster config, and then within our level init, let's go up to the world init. So world state init right here. So last session we built out this generating the level config data based on the information that we parsed out from our levels config file. And if you remember, this is super simple right now, this file. It will grow over time, but I wanted to get the initial parser working. Right now, the only information we store is the maximum number of monsters for any given level of the dungeon. And it's stored in pairs. So the first value is the way to read this is up until level 3, you'll have 10 monsters per level. Then up until between levels 4 and 5. Up until level 5, you'll have 15. I guess it'd be up to and through. So the first 3 levels would have 10. And then levels 4 and 5 would have 15, and then all the way up to and including level 10 would have 20 monsters, and so on and so forth. So we wrote the parser for that, and it was behaving weirdly at the end of the last stream, and I realized that I had kind of screwed up with the while loop, and essentially I was calling a string token twice before I was trying to store it, so it was skipping a value and it was getting weird responses. But if you check the latest commit to the repository, which is linked to right above my head here, if you grab the latest code, you can see kind of what I fixed up. So let's get back to where we were. So we're properly generating the correct number of monsters per level. So the final step in our level generation, so level init, we do. Oh, you know what? I didn't do this yet. Oh, there's one more to do that I need to do. It's just grabbing the actual number of monsters to generate for this level from the level config. So let's do that right now. We have our level config, I think it was like monsters. Max Monsters is the name of it. Max Monsters. And the level to generate, it's going to be the level to generate -1 because our levels start at 1 and the index of the array starts at 0. So we're going to grab max monsters of level to generate -1. So we'll do grab the number of monsters to generate for this level from the level config. And let's just do a quick sanity check build and make sure that nothing is busted. And let's run. Alright, so we've got we should have a bunch. Remember, we're only generating goblins right now, so we should have a bunch of those guys. There's our first one, and there's another one. Oh, and another one, and another one, and they're all chasing me. Will they catch me? Who knows? So they all queue up nicely and try and chase me around the dungeon. Remember, there's no combat yet, so that's our next big step. Oh, and now they've trapped me in a room, so... Oh, they can't corner me, though. Too swift. Okay, so that appears to be working. Let's close that up and hide the terminal for now. Get back to our code. So the next step, or the final step with our in our monsters right now, is to randomly place the appropriate monsters. So our monster config file, if you remember from last stream, we enhanced it with this appearance probability. Again, this is to be read as pairs, so up to and including level 3, there's a 50% chance that we'll generate a goblin. Then between levels 3, level 4 and 5, it goes down to a 10% chance, and then for every level after 5, it's a 5% chance for a goblin. And that's just a temporary set of values. We will, as we add more monsters and kind of build out this config file, we'll change the probabilities, because we're not just going to have 4 types of monsters. That would be lame. So let's... we are already parsing that information, and we have it in a structure up here that is called monster probability. And it's basically it's a 2-dimensional array. The first dimension of the array is for each monster, and the second, basically each item in the array is an array, which is the probability for that level. Excuse me. Alright. I don't want to move these two. So we need this monster for level. And it takes the level as a parameter. So the first step, we're going to, excuse me, a little congested, I apologize. So the first thing that we're going to do is generate a random number. So we'll just call that I, and it will be a random number between, I guess, 0 and 99. And so what we're going to do, just trying to figure out the best way to do this. Basically, we'll generate our number, and then we're going to loop through our monsters. Loop through our monsters until we hit that number, and whatever monster corresponds to that particular number that we generated is what we'll get. So we'll do while, and I want to loop through, so we'll do, we're going to loop through our our monster probability. let's just call this R for random, because I want to use I as my index. What did I set this as? Oh, monster type count. Okay, so we're going to loop through, and we need an accumulator. So we'll do U32, start at 0. And basically, the moment that our random number equals the is equal to or less than the accumulated value, that's the monster we're going to grab. So we are going to say accumulator is, well, we'll do plus equals, and it's going to be our monster probability for I, and then it's going to be our level index. So we're going to index into the level, which needs to be level -1 here. Because again, levels start at 1, index starts at 0. So, and then our test is if the accumulator is greater than or equal to R, then we've got our monster. So in that case, we return. What am I stuffing in? I need to find the code where I set this up. Okay, so it's just the monster ID. So the monster ID is going to be the index +1. Because I'm returning, I think I want to return the monster ID. So we're going to return I +1. And then we will want the, I guess we'll want the case. We'll want to just account for if some reason we don't hit it. We need to return some default value, so we'll return 1. Guess. We could return 0 and test for failure, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay for now. We'll always default to a monster. So what calls this? Monster for level. We've already written that code. It is expecting to get back a monster ID, and then it will get the monster associated with that ID and add it. So we're ready to test. Build real quick, and it built. So let's run it. And now what we should see is other monsters besides goblins. So we started in the room with 2 goblins. Whoa, and there's 1 door in the room? This is a weird one. Uh-oh. You get stuck? Nope. And there's a snake. Okay, so we did get a different or a serpent, snake, whatever you want to call it. However, I'm now stuck because they've got me trapped in between. So let's do it again. We start with the goblin again, and remember there's a 50% chance of a goblin, so I guess that's not outrageous that we saw a bunch right off the bat. There's another one. Don't trap me. Oh boy, lots of goblins. Let's see if we can find other stuff. And trapped, but there's a kobold, you can see. Okay, so it does appear to be working. On level 1, there's a 50% chance of a goblin, a 20% chance of a serpent, and a 30% chance of a kobold. So, I mean, that's pretty much what we were seeing. I'll play one more just to see. Goblin. See if I can lose this guy. Nope, pick me up again. Alright, goblin and a kobold. And a snake, serpent. And another kobold. Alright, so we've got our variety of monsters. And right here you can see, yeah, goblin's the most common on level 1, kobold is the second most common, and snake or serpent is the rarest for level 1. So that appears to be working, so that's cool. Check that one off the list. So, you know, what I'm seeing here is that we have finished all of our monster items. So I'm going to check that box, and that brings us to our next big item, which kind of excited about because it's combat. So let's go back to our components, because we're stubbed out, or we added the ability for some components here, like health. And then we have physical. So combat. So how's combat going to work in this game? Like other classic ASCII roguelikes, you are going to fight a monster by running into it. And so let's see. We're going to want a couple of properties to facilitate that. We have not yet defined a health structure, which we'll want to do for sure. And then I'm thinking we might just want a combat component. I haven't really put a ton of thinking into the combat section yet, so let's build out health, because that's pretty straightforward. And then, you know, maybe we'll start building out the combat system, and I'll take a night to sleep on it and figure out what, you know, what other properties we should have, or how exactly it should work. So we got health, component health, and what we are going to have is a U32. Oh, first we need I32, our object ID, because all of our components need to have a have to contain the object, the ID of the object that they relate to. Then we're going to have a U32 of, we'll just have it HP, hit points. What are there other health components that we would, or health properties that we might want to track? At this point, probably not. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to even have a health component if we're only having hit points, because that could certainly be part of... let's just... I'm sure we'll think of other things to add to health. Perhaps we could have it... we could have a healing. You know, they could gain back a certain number of hit points per turn. Yeah, that's probably what we should do. What's the difference between the I32 data type and an int? Oh, Soulfoam, thanks for the host. I appreciate it. So the difference is not much. We'll show you the definition. Basically, I've kind of type defed it. So an I32 just corresponds to a 32-bit integer that is signed. And similarly, a U32 is an unsigned 32-bit integer. So I've set these up, just as kind of shorthand because I don't really want to have to type int 32_t every time. So classic roguelikes often have, you will regain hit points over time. So we have this concept of, in the movement, of frequency and ticks until next move, that are all based on, a tick in this game being a player movement. So kind of the player making a movement ends the turn and the game advances to the next turn, which is a tick. So for recovery, maybe we should have how many HP are recovered per tick. So that's what we need. We need current HP. Yes, now it's all coming back to me. Okay, so let's do current HP, and then we need a max HP as well. So. And then we want, and these should be signed. And then, because HP can go negative. Finally, a programming game using a real language. Well, I mean, yeah, I say to each his own. There's definitely a lack of C development in the live stream community, so it seems like everybody is... Oh, nice! It seems like the majority of streamers today are using Unity or some other system or pre-built game engine, and so the object of this particular project is to kind of get back to the metal and manipulate the bits at a lower level. So I am by no means an expert in doing this. It's been I'm still rather rusty at C, but it should be a learning experience for everyone involved. Oh, cool, you're working on a roguelike? That's awesome. Are you doing a classic ASCII roguelike, or is it graphical? Let's do SDL rendered. What you did. Yes, so this is the only kind of library that I use is SDL. It runs SDL2, and basically I use SDL to provide me a pixel buffer that I can then render into, and so basically I'm using SDL for rendering and for input management, and everything else is being built myself. No, it is not a graphical rogue. I will, since a bunch of people joined, I will give a quick demo. So thus far, we have we've done level generation. We've just kind of completed reading in monster configuration from a config file, monster probability of appearing on a certain level, as well as how many monsters are generated for a particular level. And I've done field of view, so you can see that there's like you get these nice shadows based on where the player is. You selectively reveal what they can see. It's roughly a circular field of view, and we've got randomly generated rooms and randomly placed monsters at this point. There is no combat, like I said. We are just this stream starting to put together the basics of combat system. So this is what we've got so far, and it's lots of impotent monsters chasing me around the screen, and I can't do anything about it, so because I have no ability to fight them myself. So that's a quick high-level tour. Yes, it's certainly in the same vein as Angband or DCSS or any of the Brogue, any of those type things. It's an ASCII roguelike. It's the goal of this particular project is really just to get my feet back with C, and do something that I can complete in a reasonable amount of time on stream, and then have that code base to share and allow others to play with for their learning purposes. It will not even approach the complexity or depth of story that some of those classic rogues have. But that's, this is a stepping stone to the next project, which will be much more ambitious, I think. Alright, so we've got our current HP, we'll do our max HP, and then we are going to have some sort of recovery rate. So this will be recovery per tick. Okay, so HP covered per tick. And I'm thinking if we're going to have some kind of poison or something like that, then we're going to need. We may end up coming back here and adding a property for a temporary modifier for HP. So like if somebody gets poisoned or something, maybe you lose 20 HP a turn, and it lasts for 5 turns or whatever. But we can come back and build that in later once we've determined what kind of items we're going to have in our world. So we've built out this struct. I think for now that's good. So then we're going to go through and add it to our global state. So like our other components, it'll be a list. And then we're going to need to init. So it's dynamically allocated linked to list. And we're going to just need to, whenever we add a new component, this is our entity component system, I just need to go through, whenever you add a new type of component to the system, there's a certain set of boilerplate code that you need to add to deal with that. So here we have our game object update component, which is kind of how we refresh the data for a given component. So you can see we've got our position data, visibility, physical, and then movement. And so we'll do another case statement here for health. And we'll put our break statement in so we don't forget it. Components, component health, comp. So we'll grab a reference to the existing component in our health position if one exists. And then we do if it doesn't exist, then Nclack, thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. For anyone else that is interested in getting updates next time I go live, please hit that follow button, it's much appreciated. Alright, so health, if the health is null, the component, then we're going to allocate it, so it'll be size of our health structure. And we allocate all this stuff on the heap so that it stays for the lifetime, for as long as we need it, which could be as long as the lifetime of the game. A Death in Hamilton, thanks for the follow. So we're handed component data, and we're handed it as a void pointer up here. So we need to cast it to the type of object that we're building, and we pass that via this comp parameter, which indicates the game component type that's being updated for this object. And when I say object, I don't mean object in the object-oriented sense of the word. So the next, we're basically going to copy that data from what we've been given into our newly created component, so that it'll be stored long term with the game object. And we've got health. What did we say? Current HP. Current HP. And then we have health. Max HP. Health, data, what else did we have? I forget already. Current HP, max HP. Oh, and just recovery rate. Okay. And I lost where I was. Recovery rate. Okay, and then the last step is to add this newly created health component into our collection of movement, or our collection of health components. So we do list, insert after, and hand it the health comps list, and then we send the second parameter null, which is this would be the it could be a pointer to the element that we want to insert after. If we give it a null, it just pushes onto the head of the list. And since we don't really care about what order they are in the list, we can just make it easy and just push it onto the head. And then object. Now that we've got that put together, we want to add a reference back to this particular component to our game object, so that we can easily go from the game object to our component. It's more of an optimization. And the index is the type of the component, which is comp. All right, so let's see. There's other things I think we need to do. Yes, we got to add our cleanup code here. So we'll copy pasta. Always dangerous to copy pasta, but sometimes it's got to be done. You just have to make sure that you replace everything. Element to remove, list search, we do health comps. We're looking in there, and then if it's not null, then we remove it from health comps. Perfect. Get components the same. Doesn't need to be enhanced. Scan object's position. Good. Let's just look and see if there's any other. Think. Oh, so right. So now that we have this health component, when we're adding game objects with that should have that component, we need to add that to the creation code for that. So floors don't need HP. At least not yet. I don't think I'm going to have the concept of being able to destroy like blowholes in the floor. If I wanted to do that, I could certainly give floors hit points and have them disappear. Fleventy5, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. How's everyone doing tonight? However, so NPCs definitely need health. And again, walls not gonna need health, at least initially. I'm not gonna deal with destruction of walls or floors. We can certainly come back and add it later if we decide that's something we want in the game. But for now, we need to add it to NPCs for sure. So NPCs are monsters. And we're gonna do let's init it. Game. Comp health, and we'll give it the address of our. So this is calling that routine that we just updated. Excuse me, one sec. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right. We get the NPC ID, and then we've got current. So current HP. We're going to need to add that as a parameter to this function as well. So let's just assume that it exists for the moment. Call it cur HP. And then ditto for max HP. And recovery rate, I guess. And if you haven't seen this kind of named assignment for structs, I think it's new in C11. It's not new in C11. It's not new, but it's new to the C11 standard. It's pretty cool. I think it was in the C11 standard. I don't think they had it in C99, but let's call this HP. So, looks like we need to add 3 parameters to this function. And we called it cur HP. Well, okay, so we don't need current HP when we're adding it. This would be max HP. We're gonna add everybody with max, so dir. We can cut down on that parameter. We'll have a max HP, and then we'll have a recovery rate HP back. So we will we'll find where we're adding that. I think it's in our level generation when we're generating our monsters randomly. I think that's the only place that that's being called. So let's see if there's any other places where I think that's it. Okay. Now the other thing that needs to get health given to it is the player. So we set up the player here. And we will call it, I guess I should do the name things anyway too. Current. How much health do we want to start this player with? Let's start with something like 20. And then we'll do our HP, or recovery rate. Is going to be, whoop, typo. So every tick, maybe they get 1 health back. Honestly, that seems generous, but we'll have to go through several iterations of balancing probably once we get the basic systems in place and play a few games, see what works. Okay. So let's figure out, let's go back to game and find, let's find NPC add. Yeah, it's only called in one place where we're as part of our level gen. So, let's go and add this to our monsters config file. So this is where we're reading it. Let's write the code that uses it, and then we'll figure out what we need to add to the config. So we want our, this will be max HP. And we'll read it from our config entity value. It'll be read from the monster entity. Monster. And let's call that property max HP. Well, I guess sticking with our naming conventions, it'll be health. What else do we? What's our naming convention? I don't have any 2-word ones. No, let's just call it max HP. And so that'll become a signed A2I for max HP. So we're reading it from the config data that we have read into memory from this monsters config file. And then we're everything in there is string values, so we need to convert it to the integer, which is what we're expecting. Great. Call it config entity value, monster. And this will be health, rec rate, I guess. Make it a little Excuse me. Very congested tonight, I apologize. Rec rate equals A to I. This will be okay. So we are going to pass both of these values that we've read from our config file to our npc add call. So now we just need to go through and add these config values to each of our monsters. So the max HP for a goblin. So our player, if they're starting at 20, let's start a goblin at 10. The serpents, let's just put, and we'll make trolls hard, because they don't really start appearing until level 5 anyway, so let's make them like 30 HP. We can make kobolds a little bit stronger. We can make them 15. And then maybe the serpents will be like 8. Okay. So let me just do a quick build and make sure I didn't bust anything. And I did somewhere around 315. Yeah, that's not a minus, that should be an equal sign. Let's assign them. Typo, okay. It builds, and it does not run. Okay, so let's figure out what's going on. I'll throw it into Visual Studio to see where we're blowing up. Didn't allocate some memory somehow, probably. So it's complaining that invalid parameter was passed to a function. It's blown up here. Oh, rec rate. So it didn't read that. Oh, I didn't add. Okay. We added the HP parameter property. We didn't go back and add the recovery rate. Oops. So we'll do rec rate, and yeah, this is going to be like 1. Maybe kobolds are super hard to kill. They recover really quick. Have a fast metabolism or something. We'll make it recover 2 per turn. And trolls maybe recover 4 per tick. Sorry. So we shouldn't have to recompile because we didn't change anything but the config file. So let's just run it, and yeah, so now it'll work. And we've got monsters converging on our position that have health, but yet there's still no way to fight. So that'll bring us to the next phase here. So we need to add another component that lets our things fight or battle it out. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add a new component, combat. I'm just going to call it combat. We'll add another structure. Call it combat. Need our object ID, because we need that in all our components. So, next we are going to need some indication of our power or our strength or how much damage we can inflict. So, let me think about this for a second. We're going to have the concept of weapons, which will be able to modify your attack value. Maybe we'll just call it attack. And then we'll have another one just for defense. I'm wondering if we also want to have the concept of being able to dodge, evade attacks, which would be different than movement. It's really kind of a combat skill, like, you know, in D&D it would be dexterity, something that gives you less chance of being hit. Let me think on that. Let's just do simple attack defense. Let's just like brute force. And I will. I'd want to add some ability to dodge, but I want to think on that a bit. So I'll do some thinking off stream, and we'll come back next stream and add that. So attack is going to be. I guess, is it damage inflicted? Excuse me. And defense would be damage absorbed before HP is affected. And both of these will be modified by items, so if you know, depending on what weapon you're using, it'll boost your attack value. And based on what type of armor you're wearing, you can absorb more or less damage. You could have, you know, these modifiers can go either way. So to inject some randomness into this as well. I feel like we need, we need to inject some randoms, like, so that it simulates like the dice rolling. Now, what kind of combat systems do you folks like out there? Do you like a ton of modifiers? Do you like simple? What's Hey, Rampersad, how's it going? Where did I learn C? I learned the first time I learned C was I took a summer course. It was like a computer science course, and it was I think 6 or 8 weeks long, and it was like an overview. We learned 3 different computer languages in the course of the 6 or 9 weeks. We learned C, Pascal, and Fortran. Yes, we actually learned Fortran, which was, and then so we did like a couple days intro to each language, and then we wrote some simple programs in it. So that was my first exposure to C. It was not a very deep exposure, as you might expect. But it gave me a taste for it, and I ended up getting a hold of the Turbo C compiler and kind of taught myself from books and messing around. And then I did a bunch of, when I got in college, I did C++ and did C++ when I got out of college. Did C++ for a while, and you know, kind of dabble. I've written Objective-C for building iOS apps, and I'm really taking this project to kind of help solidify my knowledge of C and learn it better. Where did I learn it? I'm continuing to learn it. What does like 87 mean? I don't know what. Where do you see that? All right, so let's just go super simple initially. We'll just have attack and defense. We'll add more once we get the basic mechanics down. What does line 87 mean? This? Oh, so this is a dynamically allocated array of Boolean values. So it's a... I'll just show you where it's used. It's a good example. So it's a 2-dimensional array, basically. So you can see I want to be able to access the map walls, the array, using your standard square brackets X and Y for 2-dimensional. So to be able to dynamically allocate that and pass it as a pointer, you need to do this syntax. Where am I allocating this? Let me find that. I'll show you. Oh, I do it in hold on. Is it FOV? Do that. Trying to find it. It's been a while since I wrote that code. Oh, it's map. That's what it is. I knew I was missing one. Isn't it? Anyway, you can see I'm doing it with map cells here too. It's declared the same way. So it lets me pass in this two-dimensional array by reference. And then access it using the standard XY brackets. Because this is, so the problem is that this is a struct. So when you allocate a I wanted this to be a dynamically allocated sized array. So jumping back to this, let's we're adding a combat struct, and so let's just go through all of those same steps that we just did for health. Use an IDE. Well, so yeah, there are some benefits to an IDE. This is Sublime Text, and it's actually you can do certain things. It'll jump between definitions and stuff, but the reason I didn't just use something like Visual Studio is it takes a little while to start up. This Sublime Text starts up instantly, but more importantly, the Visual Studio is not available across platform, and Sublime Text is. This code will build on Windows, it'll also build on OS X, and it will build on Linux as well. And all three of those platforms have Sublime Text. So it's a trade-off. Combat comps, and we added our component up here. I think once I go through and add this, I might call it a night, because as you can tell, I'm a bit under the weather. And it's affecting my thought patterns. I'm a little bit slower than I otherwise would be, I think. At least that's what I tell myself. Combat, cast our malloc. Well, I was reading today, I read in an article that this casting of the void pointer for malloc is actually unnecessary, but I could have sworn that I was getting a warning, a compiler warning, when I didn't have it. I will have to test that sometime. So we've got our object ID. And then we've got our attack. We only get the warning in C++. That could be the case. Hey, Treeform, how's it going? Yes, this is an entity component system. So right now we're adding a combat component to that system. Com data. I just realized how close these variable names are. I might want to change that. Let's call this I'm just going to type out the whole word. Trying to learn C now. Everyone seems to use Unity or C++. Yeah. I mean, Unity is it's a pretty amazing platform, what they've built. And C# itself is actually a pretty nice language. So there have been times in recent history where I've wanted to start kicking the tires of yes, C#. Unity uses C#. It's a pretty solid language. Back in the day, I did a bunch of .NET programming using C#. So I could dust off those skills and build something in Unity, which maybe I'll do. Next project, I'll just kick the tires and see if it's something that I like. Combat comps. We're going to insert this into the list. We'll put it on the head of the list, and we'll call it com in there. So, object ID, attack, defense. That's everything we need. And components. Oh, sorry. This is com. And my break. I just forgot that. Okay, so that's our creation of that particular entity type. Now we need our destroy. We're going to remove this. We replaced all the necessary bits from our copy pasta. Yes. Okay. What do I do in my day job? Yes, I do coding. However, my day job, I build iOS and Android apps, native. So iOS, I did Objective-C for a while. Now I'm doing more Swift. And Android is obviously Java. All right, so yeah, so my day job, I use the higher level languages, and so as for this pet project, I'm going, I wasn't going to start writing assembly language, but I want to go lower level, get back and do the memory management again, although I'm sure I'll be kicking myself for that decision. But it's a fun learning exercise. Have I tried using C on Android? Yeah, it is possible. I try not to use Android. I'm not a fan. Of the kind of dichotomy of smartphones. I'm firmly in the iOS camp. Why program in C? Sounds hard. It is hard. It forces you. You have to be very careful because mistakes will cause horrific crashes for seemingly innocuous changes, but it stretches different brain muscles, I guess, and really I just wanted to do this project to learn more about modern C and get better at it, and also provide guidance or help for anybody else that would be interested in doing building their own games in C. So again, all of the source code is in the repo right above my head. Feel free to grab it and build and play along at home. Alright, so we've done our destroy. Now we need to add combat components to our player and our NPCs. So again, we're going to do game object update component. So we've got object ID, and then we'll do attack, and we're going to again pass in new params. We'll call it attack and defense. We're not going to get tricky here. So we'll add params to the end of this. It'll be 32 attack. Which we will read from the config files, but let's jump to our player. Oh, you know what? I never added my health. Come on. Wake up there. So I created my health component, but I never added it to my player object, so comment. I also need to make sure that it references the player ID. I'm getting sloppy. I'm gonna. Where do I get the U8, U32 from? Yes, it is a type def. So U8 is an unsigned 8-bit integer. U32 is an unsigned 32-bit integer. And then I8, I32 are the signed versions of those. What are we going to start our attack at? You know, so this is a weaponless attack. I'm going to say that it's like a 2. And similarly, a defense, which is armorless defense. I'll call that a 2 as well. We'll add this into the player game object. And so the next, what song is this? I don't know. It should be playing, at the bottom of the stream there should be it should say what song is playing. Looks like that's working. All the music I'm playing is from Monster Cat. And you can find them on Spotify. Monster Cat is the label, it's not the artist. Alright, and you know what? I'm going to start turning these into one-liners because this is getting a little ridiculous. So we'll do either to attack. This will be A2I of our config entity. Showtime Tilt, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And we'll call this combat attack. And we're going to copy pasta for our defense. DF. This will be com defense. And we're going to pass both of these to NPC add routine. Yeah, treeform, that is, so the syntax allows you to name, so like right here, position pause, it allows you to set initialize values in a struct by name. So if you look, I actually changed this because when I first started coding the game, I didn't know that syntax either. So if you look at my player in it, like in this, when I initialize visibility, it's just by the order that they appear in the struct. And then I got smart. I should go back and change this. Then I switched over to the initializing by name, which is really nice. And if you initialize all this stuff by name and you don't, it allows you to selectively assign stuff as well. It's part of the C11 standard, I believe. And I'm fading fast, guys, so I'm probably going to call it in a few minutes because I need a good night's sleep. So let's go back. Let's just add our combat values. So for goblins, and again, this is, well, so I don't know. We're not going to go through the assigning goblins and monsters for different weapons. So let's say that their attack is a 4 and their defense is a 1. Goblins are pretty weak, so I'll go through copy pasta and then modify. So for a troll, that guy hits you, it's gonna hurt. So I'm gonna make it 10. And then they've got some pretty thick skin, so I'm gonna make their defense an 8. Triptify, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Kobolds. Defense maybe we'll make it 2. Attack will be like a 6. Be a little tougher. And then a serpent, maybe the attack is a 3 and defense is 1. We could make defense just 0 as well, but it's fine. Again, we'll go through a balancing phase where we play the game and figure out what numbers work best. Oh, is that a GCC? You don't need the dot? That's good to know, yeah. Alright, so Treeform, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Let's build, see if I've broken things horribly, and apparently... oh. Yes, so Dark 2023. I'm calling it ID. I believe this is actually should be object ID. And indeed. I've just forgotten this. The only other... It'll build now. Let's compile. Let's run it and see. Oh, and it crashed. Okay. We'll debug real quick. And then maybe we'll call it good tonight. What happened here? It doesn't like go up in my list. List was null pointer. Where's my call stack? So I didn't initialize something. I bet I never initialized my comfortable working without an IDE. Yes. But I mean, IDEs are definitely it's tough to give up something like IntelliSense or similar. Like, those are productivity features that are really helpful. So Sublime Text does do some autocomplete of names that it's seen before. So I've got that bit. But this was really, like I was saying before, this is really about having a tool that'll work on all the different platforms that I want to target. Excuse me. Oh, you know what? So it didn't. Let me just show you. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys can't see this. Check this real quick. Oh, what happened? Their OBS. Okay, you can see it. Sorry about that. So we broke right here. It's saying that this combat calling it's this combat comps list. So I'm thinking we forgot to initialize that or allocate it. So let's go back and do that. Hide that window. Okay. Yep. Yerp. Combat comps. Lists work much better when you actually allocate them. Pro tip. Morning / life. Morning. Good morning if it's morning where you are. It's heading into later evening where I'm at. But good morning to you. All right, let's give it another whirl. Building and play. So we've got all the components that we need for combat, except for actually resolving that combat. So the next step in the combat building out is when the player moves into, like if I hit the up arrow right now to move into that kobold, that would initiate that attack. Similarly, that move would trigger counterattacks by any adjacent monsters. So I would be attacked by both the kobold and the goblin in this case. 5:24 a.m. It's early. Good morning to you. So, add this terminal. And just take a quick gander at, maybe leave myself a to-do. So one thing we could do, like we have this check when the player hits one of the direction keys. Is this console output? The game itself is not displayed on. It's not in the terminal window. No, it's an SDL window. Yes, Treeform is correct. One of the reasons that I do draw the characters, like it's basically their character sprites that I read from a character atlas. The reason that I did it that way is because I'm thinking that once I get the whole thing built, we'll have it built in classic ASCII mode, but the way that I've done it makes it trivial, it's my assumption, trivial to swap out my character atlas for a tile set, so that I could then have a graphical version of the game as well, which would be a pretty cool mod. So this is the code that handles the key presses from the player. And we do this check to see if if they've entered a movement, if the desire to move, we check to see if they can move. Dwarf Fortress does it that way. Maybe I have no idea. Dwarf Fortress, I believe, is written in C++, so they certainly could. And I do, yeah, I think you're right, because I think I've seen character sprite sheets for that. So it might be doing something similar. So maybe what I would do here is have an else statement. So if I can move, I will move. But if I can't, it's because I'm blocked, and that means that I'm trying to either run into a wall or a monster that is blocking me. So if I added a check to see what was blocking me, I could then initiate combat. So maybe I'll add a to-do here. Check to see what is blocking movement. If NPC, then resolve combat. And I would do that for all 4 directions. Yes, interesting syntax for case statements. This is definitely a tip that I would recommend. In your case statement, surround those things by brackets, because basically it gives each case statement its own scope. And it will... I think in this case statement I had, before I was using those braces, I ran into a situation where the scoping was screwing me up because I wanted to reuse variables, similar variable names or something, and it wouldn't let me. But this will let you. Currently working on a game in Java with Java FX. That's cool. That's cool. Are you doing what type of game is it? Is it a ASCII game, or it's probably graphical? Is it like 2D, 3D? I'm just going to add this to do to 4 directions. And so yeah, I think that'll leave us. That leaves us at a good stopping point for this particular stream. It leaves us something exciting to do right at the beginning of next stream, which is to build our combat resolution function, and then having the monsters retaliate. So that'll be a good thing to start with next time. We're got a 2D real-time strategy-like game. That's cool. That's very cool. I like that. Good luck with that. All right, so yeah, like I need to get some sleep tonight because I need to kick this bug out of my system, and so I'm going to call it a night. Thanks everyone for watching, and so if you're interested in previous streams, everything's archived on YouTube. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up on Twitter at PDCodes, and like I said before, all of the source code is publicly available on my GitHub repo at the address listed right there. If you haven't already, hit that follow button. You'll get notified the next time I go live. And I appreciate everyone watching tonight, and I hope to catch you again soon. So thanks for watching. Good night.